All right, welcome to this
Wow, that was perfectly timed.
I'm your host, Ken, and I'm joined by Hawk Ripjaw.
Hi.
Bill Leon.
Hello.
Bill Arsenault.
Hey.
Braving the tropical storm to join us today.
Well, it's not. I said before the podcast, while we are braving it, it's really not at this moment bad. We haven't even lost power yet. I think it's going to be okay, but been some flash flooding and stuff like that. I mean, some people, have been without power, but it's not too bad right now.
Well, let's hope it continues to be to be survivable. And this weekend we did not have. None of us had any interest in watching really the new movies that came out. The Tupac movie got crappy reviews, and to be honest, I can't say that I'm too interested in the material. Does anyone here give a shit about Cars 3?
What?
No.
I like Bill Leon's response. What?
Yeah. And
That was his response.
Rough Night is clearly not a movie in our demographic.
I have heard actually not so bad things about that movie, so I'll see it eventually.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe this weekend.
Oh, okay.
And then 47 Meters Down, which I have not even heard of.
So that was a movie called
47 Meters Down.
No, it had a different title. And then the distributor literally last second was like, "You know what? We're going to release it wide. We'll do it live." And they changed the meters to 47 meters down, changed the title to 47 meters down, and then released it wide, and nobody cares.
Oh, kind of like what happened to that Bradley Cooper Chef movie, where it was originally something else, but then they decided to call it Burnt.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, boy.
In the Deep, I guess.
In the Deep, yes, that was the original title. Not the Bradley Cooper movie, the 47 meters down.
Wow, listen to this. This is kind of interesting. I pulled this up in Wikipedia. It says here, Dimension had already sent out screeners and press DVDs of the film for retailers before the deal. The DVDs under the title In the Deep were recalled. Several retailers broke the street date, and a handful of physical copies were sold and have turned up on eBay.
That reminds me back
so this
when...
movie's already on DVD. How is it getting a major theatrical release? What the fuck?
Because they don't know how to market their movie or handle it. That reminds me of that Steven Soderbergh movie, Contagion.
Yeah.
So this was back when I was working at a video store, and right across the street, Walmart broke the street date for Contagion. So we were the only major retailer in town that was selling Contagion at that time because Walmart fucked up and they lost the right. That location lost the right to sell movies from that distributor for a solid month.
Huh.
They got probation for selling those movies.
Man, that's crazy that they policed it like that.
Yeah.
They're
one day?
I just don't get it. I mean, when they get the package with all the DVDs, why can't they just start selling it? I don't see why there has to be a set release day.
Just to meet supply and demand, they get it out earlier. So if they ship it out the day of and the truck breaks down, then they're potentially the retailer is potentially missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales, and so they don't want that. So they preemptively get it. Of course,
lot of people are buying video. Is that like a big seller?
What?
So a lot of people were buying Contagion on home video. That's like a big seller.
Well, I mean, this was 7 years ago before VOD was a major source.
Well, even then, were people buying that many copies of Contagion? I think that's the point.
I need 10 copies of Contagion.
Don't get me wrong. I actually enjoyed it. I mean, it's a solid drama.
It's a fine movie, yeah. But who produced it?
You know what would be the best? The best gift for Grandma, Contagion. The best gift for my
people are using it as
sister,
coasters.
Contagion. Coming up, get your wife Contagion.
Well,
Stocking stuffers, Contagion.
Contagion is a Warner Brothers film, and that studio strikes me as very vindictive.
Getting Contagion on DVD that's the kind of gift where the person did no research and was just like, I chose a movie off of this box.
Do you have the receipt for this? Can I return this?
It's like when for my birthday a couple of years ago, someone gave me a copy of Juno, and it's like I enjoyed.
Oh, no,
Juno,
who did that?
I enjoyed Juno, but it's like a movie that I would never go out of my way to own. And
yeah, I mean,
shouldn't ask.
I am neither a teenage girl nor pregnant, so why would I? want to watch this.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I
It's a
enjoy.
good movie that goes beyond just being the protagonist, lifestyle. I mean, I think anyone could relate to Juno. Really,
I did not like Juno.
I think there's just a solid divide between a movie that I liked and a movie that I would like to own.
Sure, yeah. It makes me wish that back when that happened, we could have just put a little sign on the standee of the Contagion DVDs that says #catch it, because nobody else could.
And anyone ever do a double feature with Contagion and Outbreak?
No.
Outbreak is better.
Yeah, Outbreak's awesome.
Maybe, actually, of the disease movies, my personal favorite, I go for the old classics. I love the Andromeda Strain.
Mm-hmm.
What about that Steven Seagal made for HBO movie, The Patriot?
Oh God, I did not see that one.
That was an Outbreak movie.
I didn't see Under Siege until like a month ago. So
Nice.
Oh man, Under Siege is great.
I've only seen Under Siege 2, and that's the only one I care about.
He's like that. He's like that with Rock and Roll High School. You're a big fan of the sequel. Won't watch the original.
I'm a big fan of the sequel. Well, the original is actually on Filmstruck right now for some reason.
Oh, you should.
Tommy
You
Jones
should
is on
watch it.
so much cocaine. If you watch Under Siege, he is just on so much cocaine.
Gary Busey dresses up in drag.
Yeah.
When doesn't he?
When Gary Busey is actually the slightly calmer person by comparison, that's like Tommy Lee Jones is in full early '90s cocaine mode. And,
nice. Oh, this was back. That was back when he was in Natural Born Killers, where he had the crazy haircut.
Yeah, and when he was in JFK with the crazy haircut, when he was in fucking Batman Forever with the crazy haircut, he did a lot of crazy haircuts. He
did a lot of crazy haircuts, yeah.
So movies that we saw this week were mostly streaming favorites. We'll go ahead and lead off with one that Chris Hawk and I watched, and Bill Leon also follow up. He watched, and I believe Bill Arsenault, you've seen Streets of Fire before, correct?
No, my dad has talked about it with me a hell of a lot, so I kind of know the general premise and infamous scenes of the movie. I've never actually.
You should watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, you should watch it.
It's fun.
So Streets of
Well,
Fire.
considering it's been remastered recently, so I think I should watch it pretty soon.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Is that why you guys watched it, or was it just the Walter Hill thing of the what's it called, the assignment?
Ken was leapfrogging off of The Assignment, which was the movie I assigned him. The previous we do this, for those that don't know, we do this thing where every week we alternate on a suggestion for the other to watch. Could be anything. The only rule is the other person can't have seen it yet.
And I like to choose something that's thematically similar in one way or another, or even tacitly connected, just to be fun.
Yeah. So coming off of The Assignment, Ken had me watch Streets of Fire, which is
totally
weird because there are many films that lend themselves well to a remaster, but Streets of Fire doesn't strike me as one of them. Not that it's bad.
Well,
there's something.
There's
something about Streets of Fire that when I'm watching it, I was like, "This should be on a video cassette."
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I get that.
I understand that. Now, Streets of Fire, for those who aren't familiar, stylizes itself as a rock and roll fable. It's sort of part musical, part action movie. It's got comedy elements.
Hold up.
It's got like a Casablanca romance aspect to it as well.
I was gonna Star Wars, sort of, right? Like the girl gets kidnapped and they have to get the group together and go save them.
That's part of it too. I was thinking more of the dynamic between the main guy and gal.
Well, actually, I've been reading through some information here, and it's listen to this. This is a Larry Gross, who was one of Larry Gross, who was a God damn it, he was a writer who co-wrote this movie, and I don't know why I was brain farting there. But one of his comments that he said about the film is that they had in mind the sentence inspired by George Lucas in a galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Mm-hmm. He says, a futuristic past, that was what was in our heads. There's a past and then there's a future at the same time. Sort of. That's his quote. Sort of.
Sort of.
So, and very much the movie is sort of set in a 1950s future.
Yeah.
So it's like steampunk.
A 1950s future as seen through the lens of the 1980s.
It's like a divergent alternate reality type thing.
Yeah, it's not steampunk, at least aesthetically, but
It's
there
kind
does
of-
sort of, you can feel there's like a dystopian nature to the world they live in.
It's Biff. It is.
Biff Tannen, yeah.
Oh yeah, alternate Biff Tannen's. From Back to the Future Part 2, it's Biff Tannen's world if it existed as a whole.
But I would say the biggest difference is that all the bullets, like,
Yes, all of the bullets like something.
What could he have been saying?
I have no idea.
did you guys notice why? Yeah, the bullets make things explode in the movie when they.
Yes, I was telling Cam they should have called this movie Shotgun of Fire, because every time Michael Paré shoots at something with his shotgun, it doesn't matter if it's a car or a motorbike or just a prop, it just fucking blows up.
Yeah, it's gonna end up on fire no matter what.
Oh, yeah, so many explosions. And in some other interesting trivia about this movie is that when Walter Hill went into it, he was coming right off of the hilt of making 48 Hours. And 48 Hours was such a huge hit. He essentially was basically what happened was the studio gave Universal approved the script and gave him $14.5 million and said, "You do you."
Well, it was the same producers too.
I have a lot of what?
Oh, I thought I'd cut out. I'm sorry. I have a lot of questions about, like, again, he kind of touched up the script on this, right? This was not originally Walter Hill's script.
Walter Hill and Larry Gross kind of wrote it together.
Okay, but I want to know, like, how Jim Steinman got involved, how, like, the music to this is pretty diverse. Like, this is a decent soundtrack. It's not like heavy metal good or even rock and roll good, but it's solid.
It's really good though. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good soundtrack. But there's a song, the song that the doo-wop group performs at the very end, I can dream about you. That actually became a #1 hit, and that was made for this film.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Diane Lane sang her own music?
No, it's not her.
Is it dubbed?
Unfortunately,
Okay.
yeah, I know that because years before I ever watched this film, I became obsessed with that song that they play in the very beginning.
It's really good.
And by the way, some interesting news. This movie came out. This movie was made at the same time, although it was released after Eddie and the Cruisers, which is also a Michael Paré starring movie.
Did we even talk about what it's about?
No, but we should cover that. And I will pass it off to Hawk. Tell me the plot of this film.
The singer, Diane Lane, she gets kidnapped by a biker getting led by a very young and not quite creepy voiced yet Willem Dafoe.
But creepy
he's scary as fuck though. He's still really skeletal.
His character's name is Raven Shattuck.
Before I watched
Diane Lane is Ellen Aim.
Before I watched the film, I thought that Willem Dafoe was supposed to be a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because that's what he looks like in this.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a part in the movie. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Where he has like leather overalls on, but like it's cut a little too short, so the top of it looks like a dress. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I refer to that as his garbage bag costume.
He had a weird outfit on at one point that looked like he had like the top half of it looks like a dress.
No, it's a garbage bag. It shines and it glimmers like plastic.
But anyway,
it's supposed to be leather, but it's not leather. It's plastic.
The singer, Ellie, right?
Ellen Aim.
And the attackers.
The former lover of main character, played by Michael Paré.
Tom Cody.
Thank you. I'm actually trying to find the movie right now so I can. Okay, here it is. This guy runs into a former Army gal named McCoy. Amy's the actress.
McCoy, yeah.
Amy Madigan.
And he gets her help to get her to get Ellen back. This is at the behest of Billy Fish, played by Rick Moranis, which is Ellen's manager.
And Rick Moranis in this movie, I have to say, This is Rick Moranis in full dick mode, and it's great.
It is great because my knowledge of Rick Moranis does not go beyond nerdy loser.
So instead, he's a nerdy loser and a dick.
Yeah, he's also a slime ball and a total dickbag. So it was fun to see the entire cast just roll over him at every chance they got. Like, he was this movie's whipping boy at every second. And that's kind of all there is to it. It's this little ragtag team are trying to get Ellen back from the evil bikers, and Bill Paxton shows up very briefly as Clyde the bartender. He was really
Jr. Ed Begley Jr. pops up as a homeless man, presumably.
Lee Ving is in there really quickly.
Robert Townsend is one of the members of the Sorrells.
I was just going to bring up Robert Townsend, which I was thinking the whole time I seen Robert Townsend in this movie, I was like, did this give him material for a Hollywood Shuffle?
Maybe. And good old reliable Richard Lawson plays the cigar chomping. What is his character's name? He's a cigar chomping cop, Officer Ed Price.
Ed Price, yeah. Mm-hmm. And Richard Lawson was in The Crow, right?
No, you're thinking of what's his name? He was also like the Candyman.
Yeah. Oh, no, that wasn't him. No, that's not who I'm thinking of.
Well, no, he was in The Crow. The Candyman was in The Crow.
No, the Candyman was in Transformers 2.
Okay, but he was also in The Crow. So
maybe we're thinking of different.
What the fuck are you guys talking about?
They're talking about the horror film from the '90s, Candyman.
No, but what are you talking about?
I guess there's an officer, a police officer.
We're talking about Tony Todd.
Tony Todd.
Yes, yeah. He's Grange in The Crow, and he also happens to be the Candyman. So, Jesus.
Oh, okay. Well, right. Whatever.
The Candyman's in Transformers 2, and Transformers 2 is in my ass. And this is
but a guy who is in Transformers 2 is in Candyman as well. The guy who voices the Fallen, Jetfire, is in Candyman, and it's the guy that plays.
Like, you could tell the difference between the robots.
Guys.
No, he has this horrible accent in Transformers, and he's also the creepy death guy in the Final Destination. The guy that always walks around is like, "Death's coming to get you."
I know that guy.
In the year
1992. He's the voice of Jetfire in Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, and I thought he was the Candyman.
No, the Candyman is Tony Todd.
The Candyman can, cause he mixes it with love and makes the world taste good.
That's a horror movie.
So, that was quite an aside. One thing that's interesting about Streets of Fire, one of the conceits that Walter Hill conceived of was that the universe of Streets of Fire is a world that contains no one above the age of 30. That was his conceit.
Right.
And if you look into it, pretty much all the actors there were at the oldest, they might have been around 30 years old. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of fascinating, which it's perfect because it's a throwback to the old rock and roll line, don't trust anyone over the age of 30. So,
right.
So this is a universe where there literally is no. Which brings the question: is there sort of a Logan's Run thing here? Like, if you get to the age of 30, do you go to the carousel and get killed?
Well, yeah, they do not get into the lore or hierarchy of this world.
Either way, Streets of Fire was meant to be like basically a comic book stylized kind of movie, and the intention was to be able to make sequels. Now, there was an unofficial sequel in 2008 made by the venerable Albert Pune. Called Road to Hell.
Oh, I think I've heard of this.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who don't know Albert Pune, some of his movies include Captain America, the 1990 film, Brain Smasher, A Love Story. Yeah.
Did he direct Evil Tunes?
No, you're thinking of who was
some other schlocky fuck. Yeah.
if I remember correctly, Evil Tunes was Fred Olin Ray. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Fred Olin Ray. Okay, so who's probably worse than Albert Pune?
Albert Pune's not good.
I know. Okay, so like I know about Evil Tunes, but Fred Olin Ray also directed the only film that Eddie Deezen ever starred in, called Mob Boss, which I've never actually seen.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, in terms of that thing we were talking about a second ago, I was thinking of Ernie Hudson in The Crow.
Oh,
He's in Transformers.
Okay.
Is he?
I thought that's what your connection.
So no, Tony Todd is the voice of Jetfire in Transformers 2. He is also the literal Candyman in the Candyman movies.
I went to the movie theater in 1992. I said, one for
Ernie
Candyman,
Hudson-
please.
Ernie
I got
Hudson.
very scared. I had to go home. Ivana,
Not relevant. Not
have
relevant.
you seen the Candyman film? I'm so scared. And then years later, Michael Bay phoned me up. He said, Donald, you fucked me up just now.
All right.
Okay.
I get the point, though. Ernie Hudson, yes, he was in fact in The Crow. He was the good cop.
Yes, and the mustache threw me off because of the mustache in Streets of Fire.
All right, fair enough.
So that's where we were not on the same page there.
Okay, we are now
You guys are talking about bullshit, and Bill Leon's doing the best. Donald
You're talking about bullshit.
So Streets of Fire, it is. I actually, you kind of just nailed it, Hawk, when you began, when you said that this is like something you should have on VHS.
Yeah,
I get it, but at the same time, like, you want to hear the music at like the best possible audio quality,
Right.
so it's kind of a toss-up, like, because I get it. I would totally love to see this like 4:3 with a little bit of like VHS fuzz on it.
oddly enough, this movie goes really well with a viewing of Miami Connection because of the similar mix of action and music.
Well, yeah, it's also sort of like two gangs fighting.
Exactly. And now this movie, though, Streets of Fire, Streets of Fire is a good name for it because it's literally watching money burn before you. For instance, the movie was shot almost entirely day for night, and what they did was to do day for night, rather than using the camera trick, they actually on a set they covered the Universal Studios backlot with a tarp that was 1,240 feet long by 220 feet wide in order to shoot night scenes during the day.
That seems unnecessary. The film looks good though.
It has a visual aesthetic for sure. Editing's a little bit over the top.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff about it that's over the top, and that's part of its charm. If those things were toned down, it might be kind of boring.
Very true. I enjoyed the heck out of it. It's corny, but it's corny in a way that is endlessly intriguing.
Isn't there a sledgehammer fight?
Yeah.
It's not sledgehammers; they're actually pickaxes.
Oh,
Kind of, yeah. They're blunt instruments in any case, but
Right.
Willem Dafoe's like, I got something special picked out for you.
It really
And
isn't
this
a Walter
guy-
Hill movie without a fight involving blunt instruments.
Yeah, and then the guy comes up with two of these things like, wow, Willem Dafoe's going to be a jackass and try to kill him with these two things. And then he tosses one to him and is like, yeah. And then, of course, later they do the whole thing. Is like, you know what? Fuck these weapons. We're going to fight with our fists like men. And, like movies do. Which is always, I have a love-hate relationship with that trope. It's really differs from film to film on whether or not it works. In this film, I would say it does.
To this day, I maintain the Raiders of the Lost Ark handled it in the best possible way, where he just shoots the guy.
Well, that's a different one, though. Like, I'm thinking, like, most recently in Headshot, they toss aside their guns just to fight hand-to-hand, which you always want to see that in an Indonesian movie. Then you have the Xavier Gens Timothy Oliphant Hitman from 2007 or whenever it was, where all three of the assassins have their two handguns pointed at each other, and they look at each other, then they nod, and they toss aside their guns and pull out big old swords instead and fight with those because of honor or whatever.
I think it was 08.
It's fucking stupid.
But Ken, to your point, what you're describing, you got the guy, and talking about Raiders here, the guy like swings a sword around and it's like a setup, it's a setup for a joke, but it plays like a setup for an action sequence.
Exactly.
Then the punchline is him shooting the guy. Yeah. So I mean, that's played for comedy.
Exactly, and the secret punchline is the fact that that was supposed to be a knockdown, drag-out fight sequence, but Harrison Ford at the time was really deathly sick, and he just told Spielberg on set, rather than shooting the fight that day, hey, why can't I just shoot him?
Yeah, everybody in the cast had like mad food poisoning. I think the only person who didn't was Spielberg himself, who chose not to eat whatever the cast was eating.
Apparently, Spielberg ate nothing but canned food the entire time.
Yes, and everybody else got something. That's not gay. That's not what it is. That's when you're.
Well, right? I'm glad that I'm not food poisoned. I'm off to meet Kate Cadshaw now. Thank you.
Okay.
Lovely shoot, guys. Thank you.
Anyway, it was gross, but.
Speaking of gross, I don't even know this is a terrible. This doesn't make any sense. David Lynch, The Art Life.
Counterpoint, Eraserhead. It is gross.
Well, yeah, gross. The baby's gross. Yeah.
No, the lady stomping on sperm while she's singing is kind of gross too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. There's a lot of spurts in that. There's a lot of.
Don't use that.
Well, anyways, I saw David Lynch, The Art Life recently. It's had a small theatrical run. I believe it's still playing in some theaters across the country. And it's on Amazon right now. And I believe the Criterion's going to release it later this year.
All right.
I really like watching behind the scenes kind of stuff with directors, especially with David Lynch, because Lynch doesn't give you the typical interviewee in terms of getting answers out of him. He's never going to give you the right answer. He's just going to say whatever he thinks is appropriate at that time, And usually the stuff he comes up with are anecdotes or memories that are tenuously connected to what the original question was. I honestly, this movie came highly recommended. But I felt it was extremely tedious.
Oh.
And kind of boring at times, which is tough to say because I'm a huge Lynch fan, and and I love anything that shows him at work, at home, making paintings or sculptures or music or doing whatever he likes to do. This documentary, I don't remember if it was made by the same filmmakers, but I think it follows the same suit as there was this small little series of documentaries called Lynch 1, Lynch 2, and Lynch 3, basically behind the scenes of Inland Empire, the production of Inland Empire.
Okay.
The movie that he showed theatrically around the country himself, and he financed himself, and he made on his own time. It was kind of similar to Eraserhead in terms of the type of production he was going for, except it was.
Yeah, I pulled up the Wikipedia page. It says it's the same staff of people.
Okay, all right, so that makes sense. And I guess they transformed this into something different, something a little more, I guess, average. And considering it's Lynch, I would go with something not average.
Here's a question for you. This is complete aside, but we're doing asides anyway.
Sure.
Are like David Lynch fanboys considered to be part of the Lynch mob?
No, I would say I would call it Lynchian.
I was going to say the Lynch mob sounds like a wrestling stable.
Yeah, it's not really.
How about the Eraserheads?
Well,
the Lynch mob has a good pun involved. I like a good pun, so I'm sticking with it.
It's more like a band name,
The Eraserhead also isn't that the haircut that Kid had from Kid and Play?
No, not really.
I thought that's what the name of that hairstyle was.
Maybe it's a hairstyle. I don't know, but I think that's taking it making it too popular. This was a very obscure movie and an obscure haircut,
I just want to pretend that David Lynch walks around all day talking like his Twin Peaks character.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Okay, so Kid and Play's haircut is called a high top fade.
I really enjoyed House Party 2.
I actually Googled that.
Call Chester Desmond in Oklahoma.
I would just absolutely love it if this movie was him walking around. You said this movie like dragged for you a little bit. Do you think this movie would have been proved if he was doing that voice?
Yeah, of course. This would have been great.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of fascinating moments in this movie, like when he talks about his memories and some of the things he remembered as a kid growing up in like Idaho and Minnesota, and then eventually Boston or Baltimore and the Pennsylvania areas. He talks about things that happened in his life. He went through like a bad phase as a teenager before discovering art, and he gets into that a lot. But this movie is really trying to explain his art, why he is the way he is and why his style is the way it is.
That's hard to do.
But A, that's hard to do, and B, it's very futile.
I mean, to anybody that has that question, right? Anybody that has that question, give them a DVD of Dumbland. And then just walk away. Just walk away.
Or let them watch Rabbits or something. It's Lynch. His work is more. Yeah, you can kind of associate some stuff with what he's going through at the time, just like with any filmmaker, or artist.
Or hell, just give him a couple of strips of The Angriest Dog in the World. Have you ever read that one?
No, I don't know what that is.
So David Lynch is more on his art life than it does. I mean, a little bit of his early filmmaking, but it's more like the early shorts that he did. The one where Three Men Getting Sick and The Alphabet. I think Grandmother is covered a little bit in this. But a lot of it is showing him working in his home studio while his little baby is walking around trying to grab stuff, and he's like, "Hey, Lulu, what's going on?" And he's like making like art, like he's making like an image of an insect crawling or like an image of a guy vomiting something.
Don't let this baby walk around unattended to.
Yeah.
The baby.
That's the thing. He genuinely talks like that, and I think he makes fun of that in Twin Peaks. He's like, "What if I made my voice louder?"
Yeah, like it's his character in Twin Peaks is David Lynch making a parody of David Lynch.
He's that way in he's that way in the Cleveland Show too.
He was on the Cleveland Show.
Yes, he plays a recurring bartender
as himself.
In the Cleveland Show, yeah. As himself.
What?
Yeah,
he's David Lynch, the bartender.
David Lynch, the bartender in the Cleveland Show. Yes,
I've never heard of this. That's crazy.
The show is not great, but his bits are always. It's more of a novelty. Like, hey, it's David Lynch, and he's playing himself, yelling.
And he's got the coif haircut and everything.
Yes, his hair is out of control.
And he's also
pretty good.
Occasionally on the Louis C.K. show, Louis.
Yes,
Louis.
Plays on it, anyways.
He plays Louis' agent, right?
I don't remember, honestly. He plays some figure in his life, some official, some.
But he's always good though. I wish David Lynch would do more
he's
acting.
Actually. Yeah, me too. I think he's kind of underrated when it comes to that stuff. He's just very funny. He's got a good energy about him. Honestly, what?
Go ahead.
Oh, were you done? Okay.
Yeah, no, I said go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say there were a lot of the guys who made this movie, The Art Life, had also done were also the same team behind some of the David Lynch Inland Empire supplements, which were like hour-long behind the scenes of Lynch directing. Mm-hmm. Just him yelling at Laura Dern, saying stuff like, this is unacceptable, unforgivable that you showed up late. You should have been on time.
Laura, you didn't give me this kind of trouble in 1991 on Wild at Heart.
Exactly.
On my film Wild at Heart.
He says shit like that, and he's not a dick. He's not a dick or anything, but he does come off authoritarian You know, and in a way, those documentaries, the behind the scenes of Inland Empire, said a lot more about him than The Art Life. The Art Life was kind of treading territory I already knew.
Mm-hmm.
Documentary that came out like sometime in the 90s. This was post Lost Highway. I forget the name of it. It's David Lynch. Something I forget the actual name of it, but it covers him, his art, but it also covers his some of his films too. And in it, he's also very much not giving answers, but he's also talking about his life in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is a lot more meditative, you know, and I would describe it as white noise. It very much wants to put you at rest, put you to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Almost put me to sleep several times watching it. I was like,
Right.
okay, I already know this information. Give me something different. Give me a different feeling. Evoke something for me, you know? And it never really did. But Lynch is always fascinating to watch no matter what, even if it's treading the same territory. So I gave it, I give it on the Movie Boozer scale 3 beers.
Okay.
Quite a 4. If I could give it 3 beers and a shot, I guess that would be more accurate. It's something along those lines. I would say skip this movie and watch the YouTube video of David Lynch in Hollywood, beach chair with a cow.
Okay.
Doing what?
Promoting Inland Empire in this video, and he keeps saying cheese is made from milk, and without cheese, Inland Empire wouldn't have been made. And he's got a cow sitting next to him, you know. And he's like nominate Laura Dern for an Oscar.
So I have to ask, because I mentioned this a few minutes ago. Am I the only one who's read The Angriest Dog in the World?
I've heard of it. I've never actually. I know what you're talking about, but I've never.
I'll give a quick explanation. Basically, it was a cartoon strip that he wrote and was published for almost 9 years, and it's the setup of The Angriest Dog in the World is it's 5 panels long. The first panel always has the exact same caption. The first panel reads, "The dog who is so angry he cannot move, he cannot eat, he cannot sleep. He can just barely growl, bound so tightly with tension and anger. He approaches the state of rigor mortis." And then the next 4 panels are just this. Yeah,
I can see Jonan Vasquez was a fan.
The next 4 panels are just this dog. The drawing is just this dog lying in like chained outside and growling, going "rrrr," and occasionally there's text. I'm sending you guys an example. I want you to take a look at this in the chat right now and tell me what you think of it.
DavidLynch.de.
Denmark.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
What?
Yeah.
Everything is real, but nothing is real as well. Someone says.
And the dog just goes "rrrr, rrrr." At nighttime, he's still growling.
Now that I've seen the comic, I can make the same statement. Jonan Vasquez was clearly a fan.
Okay.
I like Dumbland. I've only seen the first few episodes, but I really enjoyed Dumbland.
I can't sit there and watch all of it, but you know, it's like Trash Humpers. Like, you can't critique it. It just is what it is, and you got to deal with it.
It's unabashedly what it is. You know, it's and same can be said about Rabbits. Really, Rabbits is very.
You can't say you've ever seen anything.
You can't say you've seen anything quite like it. You know,
right?
He also did another short called Scissors.
Oh God,
I believe it was called. It was basically just a shot of a movie theater, and then some teenagers are off camera, and then someone stabs someone. It's a really weird little short, but it's pretty good. I thought there was a lot of good stuff in it. This was around the same time of Inland Empire and Rabbits, and you know, his internet experimentation days. So you know, he did a lot of that kind of kooky stuff. I don't think he's getting back into filmmaking. From according to what he says, he's done.
Yeah.
Except for Twin Peaks, you know, which you know, everyone's like paying super attention to. I still have to dive into it. The new Twin Peaks.
Too.
So speaking of quirky filmmaking, The Book of Henry came out this weekend.
That's
Colin
not
Trevorrow is
fucking
terrible
terrible.
filmmaking.
It's
quirky. It's weird.
It's not quirky. It fucking sucks.
All right. So the next movie that we go ahead, tell us about the Book of Henry.
I want to hear about this.
All right. So how many of you guys have watched the trailer?
I have seen the trailer.
Oh, I have.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah, I know it.
The halfway through the trailer was like, wait a second, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
The movie's the same way. So the movie is about a very young 11-year-old childhood genius named Henry. He's fucking smart. He's so smart. He is so smart that he helps manage the family's taxes and checkbooks while his mom, played by Naomi Watts, plays Gears of War on the couch. Yeah.
That's totally irresponsible. But
it's fucking crazy irresponsible. She is the worst mom in the world. Not to mention, she's a single mom. She works at a diner. She's consistently late to the diner and consistently late to pick her kids up from school. And a lot of this is indirectly implied is because she likes to drink a lot with her friend Sarah Silverman, who is also a waitress at the diner. So yeah, Henry balances the family's finances whenever, at work. The mom's boss is like, hey, we can make it easier for you and just put this in direct deposit and roll it into a 401k or whatever. She's like, I'm gonna have to run it past Henry first. That's how integral he is to managing his family's life, is that he actually has to make financial decisions for his mother.
She has to run it by her son,
who's 11 years old,
to have her paycheck direct deposited.
Yeah, or something like that. I don't know.
Which is like the simplest and I mean, very few excuses to not have direct deposit.
Yeah.
I mean, a bank account.
Yeah. So Henry learns at some point that his next door neighbor, whom he likes, is being abused by her stepfather, played by Dean Norris from Breaking Bad. So he tries things, tries calling Child Protective Services, tries calling the police, whatever. As it turns out, the stepdad is like the brother of the guy who heads up the Child Protective Services. So this leads to a dead end, like it would in real life.
It's also an incredible coincidence.
Yeah, exactly. And I say like it would in real life very sarcastically. I feel like they would send, I don't know, somebody else who works for CPS to go check on it when his fucking brother runs the place. So that's one frustrating thing. So Henry is running out of ways to solve this problem. Then Henry dies of a brain tumor.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yep. Henry dies. Henry gets a brain tumor and dies like halfway into the movie.
I don't remember that. Was that in the trailer? I don't remember that.
No, it's not. But it happens pretty.
Wow. So like 20 minutes into the movie, he dies?
Maybe closer to like 45 minutes. But it happens before the halfway point.
And this is the kid from Midnight Special, right?
I think so.
The kid with the goggles.
I think it might be. Yeah.
I know Jacob Tremblay plays his little brother, right?
Yeah. His little brother who, I don't want to be harsh about this, but Henry clearly got all the intelligence in the entire family's gene pool because the little brother his mom has to insist to him that there are no sharks in the bathtub before he gets in.
It is the kid in Midnight Special.
Okay.
And Aloha.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Nobody watched Aloha.
I
watched Aloha.
The mom has to insist that there's no sharks in the water, in the bathtub, before the little brother gets in. And it's just, everything about this movie is so poorly handled. So, for example, when Henry finally dies, he like crawls out of bed and he's like clawing at the blinds in the window. He's like, "Mommy, mommy." And he never says mommy, so you know something's wrong. And then she wakes up and she grabs him. She's like, "Henry, what's wrong?" He's like, "I just want to look at the sky." And she's like, "Close your eyes and see it." And then he dies. Like, it's a really fucking bad. It's the worst death scene ever.
And this guy's directing Star Wars Episode 9.
This guy's directing Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah.
Colin Trevorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
The Book
okay.
of Henry.
Yeah. So
Book of
yeah.
Henry.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's just go
sorry,
into spoilers.
yeah.
I want you
So
to
anyway.
tell me the entire movie.
What?
I said I want you to tell me the entire movie. Let's just go into spoilers.
Yeah, no, we're already in spoilers. So, and this is in the trailer.
Okay.
As it turns out, Henry has left behind detailed instructions in his diary for how his mom can train to become a sniper and kill the next door neighbor for abusing his stepdaughter.
Wait
What?
a second. What?
Okay, so yeah,
this is in the trailer. This is in the trailer.
Hold up. I just got here. I was out. I
saw the trailer. I don't
remember.
remember that being in the trailer. Did
It's
I?
at the very
No,
end.
that
She's
was
got
in-
like a fucking sniper rifle.
Right, but
It's-
the whole thing about like Henry being the one who trains her, that's like
This is
No,
a
that's where
prequel
it
to
gets-
Hardcore Henry.
That's where it gets really bad. Is that Henry
Henry.
leaves behind
This is a sequel.
he leaves behind an audio cassette. No, it's not a sequel or a prequel because he's dead.
I was kidding.
It's Henry leaves behind an audio cassette, walking his mom meticulously through everything. It's like, okay,
Just like YouTube.
yeah, even worse than YouTube. It's like, okay, go to the ATM. You can only withdraw $500 at a time, but if you beat the window, you can get to the next ATM down the block around the corner and get $500 from there, and go buy a gun at the gun store. And then at one point, he pauses in his narration so that his mom can talk back to him. There's even one part where Henry is like, "Okay, turn left down this road. Your other
I'm going
left."
to come out as far as Colin Trevorrow goes. What's it called? Safety not guaranteed. Quality not guaranteed.
It's fine. Yeah, it's whatever. But
I
no,
thought
like
I made a joke there.
there's even a point where he tells her to turn left down an alleyway or down a street, and then he pauses for like 5 seconds, and says, "No, your other left." Like he knew that she would take a wrong turn and have to turn back around. Like he has this almost clairvoyant, or not even almost, he has this completely clairvoyant planning into this tape where he can
it's
guide her
magical
through
realism.
everything. What?
It's magical realism.
It's magical
I don't know
bullshit.
Sounds like magic bullshit.
What else? There's other stupid stuff. Like there's a part where Henry, early in the film, Henry is trying to make his brother feel better. And so he has this snow machine. He pretends he's like an ice climber on the floor with plungers, like, "I'm climbing the mountain." And then later on, way later in the film, his little brother's doing a magic trick. And he's like, he's got his box. And he's like, "When I tap this box, my brother will be back with us." And then we're all like, "Oh man, this fucking idiot's going to totally make a fool of himself because his brother's dead." And then he opens the case, and a bunch of fake snow comes flying out, and the crowd goes wild, like, "What an amazing magic trick!" It's so nice. Like, first of all, nobody knows the connection because he did that in the bedroom when only his brother was watching. So how does fucking snow coming out of a fucking trunk look like a
so
fucking
weird.
magic trick that makes the whole crowd so excited?
Like what you're describing sounds to me like The Odd Life of Timothy Green, but then you talk about guns and snipers and trying to trick ATM machines.
Yeah, it's really bad. Again, there's that second part where the movie goes completely off the rails, where the mom is like, "Okay, I'm gonna buy a sniper rifle and kill the next door neighbor to save that girl." And then there's also, this is the biggest problem for me, or one of the biggest problems, is that there is sort of a mild subplot where Naomi Watts as the mother is a single mother, and she the neurosurgeon in charge of taking care of Henry is played by Lee Pace, who I just learned in this movie is tall as fuck. He is like 6'5".
They made him look short in Guardians of the Galaxy.
They did, but I noticed it when he comes out of the OR after working on Henry, and Naomi Watts run into him. He's like, "Wow, she comes up to like his stomach." But they could have done a subplot where Lee Pace as the doctor kind of becomes sort of a father figure. Like he's not the brilliant smart person that Henry was, but he's another kind of proto father figure that can kind of help hold the family together. But they never do that. Instead, the little girl next door gets adopted, and the way they frame the ending is that she is a suitable replacement for Henry, if not a better version of him. And this is the most infuriating part in this is major ending spoilers, but it doesn't matter. Every night before the mom leaves, the room, she asks the two boys in their bedrooms, like, okay, night light on or off, door close or open. And the two kids always give differing responses. Henry says open, his brother says close. Henry says night light off, the brother says night light on. At the end of the movie, both the little girl, the newly adopted girl, and the little brother both answer the same thing, open and on, or whatever. And Naomi Watts smiles like everything's finally okay.
Okay.
Like, it's ridiculously misguided. This movie, I'm still working on the review. It is absolutely six-pack. It is probably, if not definitely, the worst movie of the year so far.
It sounds a lot like The Odd Life of Timothy Green.
It's so much worse. It is so worse.
Does she kill the stepdad, or?
No, she's about to kill him. Then she's like, "Wait a second, my son was fucking 11. I shouldn't listen to him." So she confronts him. And it's like, "I know what you did." No, she literally did. She's like, "He's just a kid. I don't have to do this."
He's just a boy.
Actually, it's great because she's in her son's playhouse, his treehouse, where he has this giant Rube Goldberg machine, and she accidentally bumps it. While his instructor's like, okay, focus. Don't let anything distract you. Breathe deep. Focus on your target. And then she bumps the Rube Goldberg machine, and it does the thing. And then all of a sudden, the end game of the Rube Goldberg machine is a bunch of pictures tumble down of Henry as a child. And she's like, I don't listen to this fucking kid. And so she confronts him. Is like, I know what you did. And meanwhile, at the talent show that's going on at the same time, the daughter who's being abused, she's doing this ballerina dance, and it's very emotional, interpretative. And throughout the whole movie, the school principal, she's like, well, we can't just go after this guy. He's a respected member of the community. And then for some reason, the cadence of this girl's dance, like the principal realizes like, oh my God, she is being abused. So she sends cops to the guy's house and he kills himself.
This is insane.
This sounds like a bad movie.
It is actually. It's literally 3 different movies fighting to be the main attraction,
which can be entertaining. I would assume that this is. Did you have more fun watching this than like some other bad movies this year?
I don't know. You have to name the movie.
Well, anything but The Assignment, because I know that was kind of so bad it's good, fun. Like, I'll give you a good example. How about fucking Beauty and the Beast, which I just recently saw.
I actually enjoyed Beauty and the Beast legitimately.
Oh, no, I did not. I had a lot of problems with that movie.
No, I thought it was nice, but I don't say too much about Beauty and the Beast because it is quite literally a live action version of the cartoon. I'm pulling up my other worst films of the year. Underworld, it's worse than Underworld. It's worse than Baywatch. It's worse than King Arthur. It's worse than Smurfs.
Did you have more fun watching it though?
No, it's not good at all. Like it's kind of fun at some parts, but it's mostly just fucking bad. Like
the way you just relayed the plot to us was very fun. So
it's a fun plot, but the movie takes itself really seriously, except when it's not. Like there are little friendly, fun scenes. Like there's this thing where Sarah Silverman's character and Henry have kind of an antagonistic relationship. She calls him Hank just to piss him off, and he always gives her shit about her outfit or what she's wearing. But when he's on his deathbed, he's like, hey, we kind of like each other. We just give each other shit because we do like each other. And then she kisses him on the lips. And it's just that the movie is so spectacularly misguided. None of it is good at all. Like it's so much happening all at once. And it sounds like terrible.
Yeah, like I said, it sounds like you're describing something like the Cobbler or Winter's Tale,
It's not even that fun. Like,
right.
Maybe I'll have to watch it again. There were some parts that I laughed at, but most of all, I was just kind of baffled. I was like, this is who the fuck let this happen? My current worst film of the year is 50 Shades Darker. This has a strong chance of matching or overtaking it.
Awesome. So I heard that Trevorrow is being considered to by Disney to be dropped off.
Is that a rumor or is that actually a real thing?
Rumor. I don't think it's actually been reported. But
I mean, because people have been
are-
speculating. They say
They don't, as far as studios go, they don't like to put out definitive information unless there is something definitive to report on.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like
Yeah.
it kind of stems from the controversy with Josh Trank when Fantastic Four was so bad. Trank was he broke off from an unnamed Star Wars solo film. Some people say Trank was like, you know what, I don't like big studio films. I want smaller stuff, and that could be the thing. Other people say, nah, Disney booted his ass because he made a shit ass movie.
As far as Josh Trank goes, he made that tweet that I think
Yes.
pissed off.
The tweet heard around the world.
Yeah.
His bosses got
That
real mad.
that probably might have been it, but it's still
You don't bite the hand that feeds you. You just don't.
Well, it's an internet saying now that what Josh Trank did, and then the thing being you direct a shitty movie and then get fired from another big movie. It's called tranking yourself.
Yes.
Oh.
You better trank yourself before you rank yourself.
That
Well, so
doesn't
to say,
make sense.
you need like a Chronicle movie, something people liked to build on with that. And like I said, as far as Colin Trevorrow goes, I wouldn't say Safety Not Guaranteed is. When I heard he was being attached to Jurassic World, I was like, that guy? Okay.
Jurassic World's not even that good.
Jurassic World is not his
No.
movie, I don't think. That's just like, here's a script, go by the shooting schedule. Like, he was given a job to do with Jurassic World.
Jurassic World is a professional movie. That's what I say about it.
Yes.
a professional movie, but there are some Trevorrow traits in it.
Trevorrow traits.
Yes, legitimately. Like, there's a lot of things in there that if you've watched his previous films or listened or read his tweets and stuff like that, it's like, no, this is him.
Yeah.
this is.
By the way,
stuff he
Josh
should do.
Trank's next movie apparently is going to be an Al Capone biopic with Tom Hardy set to star.
Tom Hardy, literally in everything.
Tom Hardy was
I
set
wonder
to
if-
star in an Elton John biopic. Did that get canceled?
I doubt it.
I don't know. Tom Hardy's going to give that guy so much shit on set.
Yeah, he's not.
He's
He's not known for mincing.
He's not going to put up with him. Yeah, he's not going to put up with any of Trank's crap.
Well, Tom Hardy's
don't-
also going to be in the Venom solo film directed by Ruben Fleischer.
Which will supposedly tie in to Spider-Man: Homecoming in terms
They
of
don't have any
universe.
plans for those to interface yet that I know of.
Oh boy.
Joined somewhat. It's kind of
Are
like
they?
a side. They said straight up, like the Sony producer, what's her name? She said that they share the same world or the same
Amy
universe.
Pascal?
Yeah.
Amy Pascal, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So, but it's more like a side story or something. Like it's
I
not
think
gonna
I
be-
think it feeds into the world of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but not into Marvel itself. And Tom Holland is not yet expected to star in the Venom solo film.
yeah.
It's very, very dicey right now. And the Venom solo film starring Tom Hardy is also going to have Carnage as a villain. But yeah, Ruben Fleischer directing it is kind of weird.
I feel bad for Josh Trank, and I hope
don't.
there's
Yeah,
something.
everything he's done indicates that he's a dick.
Really?
But Chronicle was really good.
That
Chronicle is really
Chronicle-
good, yeah.
Chronicle was
So
him
they-
and Max Landis, and the cast. The cast of that movie was good. Michael B. Jordan, come on, he's fucking amazing.
You think so? You're saying that everything that was good about Chronicle?
No. I'm not.
Josh
I am not at all. I'm not at all. And I just said I feel bad for Josh Trank. And if I didn't think that he had talent, I wouldn't feel bad for him. Which
But
is
he's kind of a jackass too.
I understand that, and that's where the struggle comes in. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't
I like-
feel bad for him. I think he's capable of doing another good movie. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I hear he's a dick, so I don't feel any empathy for him.
I like Roger Waters, and he's probably a dick.
Yeah.
He's got a new record out, which I listened to. It's getting all this praise, and I was like, this sounds like I could be listening to a Pink Floyd record and having a better time. But anyway,
So, moving along to our next movie subject.
Speaking of dicks,
Dix,
Dick?
yeah,
Paul isn't really a dick.
Richard Nixon, the Watergate, James Comey, I cannot believe it. Bill Cosby got a mistrial. He should be let go. He didn't do anything wrong.
So Bill Arsenault and I saw a couple of movies from a filmmaker named Samuel Fuller, who's
Samuel Fuller.
He's not full of it.
I couldn't
Very
even
professional.
not break on that. I just started laughing.
So Sam Fuller is he's a director who, throughout his career, the easiest way to explain it is he's a director who worked within the studio system while making films with a truly independent spirit. He really didn't give a crap what the studios wanted to see. He knew what he wanted to deliver, and he crafted films that delivered it. His movies are full of are hard hitting. They're honest. They're definitely melodramatic, but in a way that is that evokes a human quality, which is really really noteworthy. Now, Bill and I both watched two films of his, Park Row and The Steel Helmet. We're going to kind of go in reverse chronological order here because Park Row is a film that, while it came out after The Steel Helmet, it's in many ways the most personal statement that he ever made as a director. What can you tell us about it, Bill?
Well, I think also not just reverse chronological order, putting it back into actual chronological order. This movie is set in the late 1800s,
True.
and The Steel Helmet is set during the Korean War. So, so I guess talking about it in that order is actually kind of appropriate. Yeah. Park Row is about it's set in Manhattan, which is a little street or little, I guess you could say, neighborhood or district where the major printing presses and newspapers and magazines were occupied.
Mm-hmm. Even to this day, many major New York newspapers are located on Park Row.
Yeah, and this movie is about the denizens of this particular district. You know, the newspapermen who dream the big dream of writing real news for real papers, and they don't have to put up with the tabloid bullshit and stuff like that. They hang around the bar. They talk about the things they want to do, and you know, all that. Well, one day, after putting up a defiant message to his employer, who eventually fires him, Phineas, what's his last name? It's Phineas.
Phineas Mitchell.
Is given an opportunity to start his own paper where he'll be his own editor and publisher. He'll have a team made up of newspapermen from the bar that he frequents, and they'll be in business together. They'll put out 4 pages a day and multiple editions. We're going to report real news and all this great stuff. And
yes,
well, 4 editions. I mean, like different for the day, you know, like for the evening time, this, that, you know.
That's way too many papers.
Well, remember, this is the 1800s when in the 1800s, newspapers were generally very small. In this case, I mean, 4 pages was all the size of the paper in this film, and the idea was that, you know, the editions kept up with the news, so you could get the most up-to-date news faster.
Extra, read all about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. This movie is very idealistic, to say the least.
It reminds me a lot of like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, where it presents it presents its subject matter in a very loving and idealistic way, and it points out. It does point out that there are people out there. There are corrupt people who do not want papers to report the real news. They focus too much on appealing to
the newspapers, fake news. I have to tell you, Mike Pence, take down a tweet at Movie Boozer. There are too many people at this institution reporting fake news. The best Sam Fuller films are The Wild Bunch and Straw Dogs, and you've gotten them completely wrong. 100% wrong. Hashtag fake news.
100%.
Hashtag movie bullshit. That's what I'm calling your website from now on. Movie Boozer, more like movie bullshit.
You got to write a column pretending to be President Trump, and basically it's an opinion piece for Movie Boozer about movie news and stuff.
It's just critiquing the website. It's just talking shit.
Well, anyways, the movie is idealistic, and it has to be because Sam Fuller worked back before he signed up as an infantryman in World War II. He was in fact, this is what he wanted his career to be, I think.
Yeah, he was a journalist, and actually the only reason he went into film was when he was over in the first infantry division during World War II. He actually had one of his novels that he wrote while he was over there published, and he sold the rights to it to be made into a movie, and that kind of gave him an entree into the film industry, which is it wasn't a direction he was intending to go, but it gave him,
it gave him an opportunity. And he also was given a camera. A camera was sent to him from home, and he actually filmed some concentration camp footage from a camp they liberated.
Yeah, so
this
film
specifically. This is Sam Fuller's Almost Famous.
It's Sam Fuller's love letter to a it's his love letter to an industry that, in his opinion, is deeply flawed but also deeply capable of delivering a truly beautiful message, truly becoming the fourth estate. It's news, when done correctly, news has the ability to change lives and to get things accomplished and to spread the word in order to in order to resolve a lot of the world's problems.
Now, this movie kind of hit me in a special place too, because I'm the son of a printer, someone who used to be a printer, anyways.
Oh,
and Dad used to talk a lot about the printing industry and all these different terminologies and everything. And this movie included a lot of that. Like, you're going to be a printer's devil, Rusty. You're going to work in the hell room, and you're going to the hell box or whatever, and you're going to set the type out, and you're going to do this and that, and what have you. And it was a lot of stuff that I didn't understand about how a newspaper was printed. I thought it worked just like, I thought it was like you just type
it out,
just came out like that. Yeah. No, they actually had to make plates out of like lead.
And set the type,
And set the type, and then hammer it together, and then they put ink over it, and then boom, that's your paper.
The movie goes into a lot of detail as to how newspapers were done in the old days, and it's really fascinating too. You get a little bit of an education on the industry while at the same time getting a nice little melodramatic story about corruption and a war between two newspapers, a circulation war where they're kind of fighting over basically they're fighting over who has the right to deliver the news.
Right.
And it's
also it's a fight for like I said before, for ideology. It's a fight over philosophy. It's whether or not to have one in a newspaper industry. And this guy Phineas is totally like gung ho. He's like, no, you have to be strong-willed. You have to have an editorial philosophy in order to be a good paper, And the really great thing about this movie is how it ties into the building of the Statue of Liberty.
Yes, it's loosely,
and how that becomes symbolic of the whole movie. It's really cool.
Not only that, but this is a movie that is more relevant today, I think, than even when it came out, because right now there is such an outcry over, as Bill Leon so graciously showed us, over fake news. And nowadays, there is a serious question of integrity within the media. And Park Row is an outcry. It's a rallying call to newspapermen to have some fucking ideals and to set limits on things and to have, to report the facts as they are without exaggeration, without being overly biased. To take a
I think it's okay to have some perspective.
Right. You can have a position,
but you don't want to.
But you don't want to hide the fact that you are taking a position.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to present it in a certain way where it's completely slanting it.
Exactly.
You want to be like, look, this is why I think it's right and everything. This is why I think this is wrong. But you're not saying like something like, oh, the Sandy Hook shooting, that's there's a conspiracy there. You don't want to be Alex Jones, basically.
Editorial should be in an editorial column, and the news should be separate from that. Then there's the news, and then there's the editorials. They both belong in a paper, but there should be a clear line of demarcation between what is are the facts and what is one's opinion. And,
and now there are a lot of the movie does that greatly, and there's a lot of great cinema. That's the thing that struck me about this movie. Wasn't just the power of the story and the melodrama going on, or the score. Everything about this was great, but specifically was the photography. For Sam, I didn't know much about Sam Fuller going in, except that he did White Dog,
White Dog,
and I was very interested in that movie for a while. But this was one of my first Sam Fuller movies I've ever watched, and I was really taken aback by the cinematography. He really understood how to set up a scene, how to frame a shot, and how to not waste movement.
Exactly.
Like the statues that are on Park Row, Benjamin Franklin or Greeley or the guy who invented the printing press.
And this is a movie that was shot very cheaply. Sam Fuller this movie was completely written, directed, and produced by him. He put all of his money into this movie, and it was made for like $400,000, I think. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, $200,000.
$200,000.
The reported budget. I like this. The reported budget of the film was $201,000. The $1,000 was money he kept for his own personal use, which in his own in an interview he said he spent it mostly on cigars and vodka.
There you go.
That's if you've ever seen an interview of Sam Fuller, he usually has a cigar in his mouth.
Yeah, the big ass stogie style.
Which I guess is a segue to the Steel Helmet, which features a character, Sergeant Zach, who is always smoking a cigar.
Now, there's a great connection here between Park Row and Steel Helmet, and that the star of both is the actor Gene Evans.
Great actor. He pulls off a great job in both movies.
Evans, he was one of those actors who mostly got bit roles in films, but the few times that he was given lead roles, he always blew me away.
Yeah, I mean, he did so too with both these films. The Steel Helmet takes place during the early days of the Korean War, right?
This was actually the first film released about the Korean War.
That's interesting. I like
while the war was still going on in 1951.
Fuller's first war movie, or had he already done a war movie?
This was his first war movie, and it wasn't his first movie, but it was. This was his first big commercial movie. Prior to this, a couple of movies he did, The Baron of Arizona with Vincent Price, a Western. He also did I Shot Jesse James, which was kind of quickie Western.
Fuller, easy on the vodka.
Fuller House.
Yeah, I got you. Oh, yeah.
Now, the Steel Helmet was shot even cheaper than Park Row, $104,000, and was shot in 2 weeks.
And you can't really tell that this movie had such a short production time or small
with 25
budget.
Extras, by the way, who were just UCLA students.
Yeah, there are some shots here and there where you can see the seams of the set. Okay, that was kind of cheap, or that was kind of, whatever. But everything else is worked in so well, and you really cared about the story. You're really invested in it. You're really invested in the characters, especially Zach, Sergeant Zach. Zach is a funny last name because I always think of it as a first name.
Yeah.
But he's Sergeant Zach. That's that's who he is. This movie has a great. It starts with a shot of the steel helmet that that Sergeant Zach wears, which has a bullet hole in it. And after the title credits are done, he slowly raises his head from behind a trench or a hill, and you can see the war just worn all over his face, in the cracks on his skin and the dirt under his eyes and everything. It's just a really wonderful shot. And then slowly the camera pulls back as he's crawling. He's got his hands tied behind his back, and he's crawling in the dirt as he's kind of amongst these other dead soldiers, and he's the only one that survived of his unit. So all this information is being delivered without a single thing being said.
Mm-hmm.
And now understand where he's at, and we understand what his predicament is, and it's really incredible.
You said this took 2 weeks to film?
Actually, the actual shoot took 10 days.
We need to kickstart a remake, shot for shot, and we're going to recast Sergeant Zach with our own Zach Jeremiah, and it's going to be
and film it in half the days.
Yes,
more efficient.
Yes, and Zach is going to be shirtless the entire time too.
Oh,
And
Zach will love it. Zach is an exhibitionist.
That's true. I can attest to that, unfortunately.
I think we all can.
Now, something that's worth noting with the steel helmet, as far as the background behind Fuller as a director, he saw real combat in the African theater, the Italian theater, and the European, French European theater during the war. So he was everywhere, and Fuller was a grunt. He was on the ground in actual combat, and he set out to make the steel helmet unlike any war film that had been produced up to that point, a movie that told really the truth about being a grunt. Sergeant Zach is not your typical hero. One of the more famous and profound scenes early on in the film, he's joined up with this unit after his own unit was almost all killed off, and one of the other soldiers comes up to the lieutenant and tells the lieutenant, I found a dead body. And the lieutenant's like, did you get his dog tags? And the guy says,
did you get the plate number?
And Sergeant Zach is mocking the lieutenant's decisions all around, saying he's smart, he didn't get the dog tags. And you wonder why. And when the lieutenant sends his soldier back to get the dog tags, the body explodes because it was booby trapped. And Zach just, on his face, he could have been heroic. He could have said, that there's a good chance it's booby trapped. All he cared about was saying, no, the smart move is just not to bother.
All right, now, so to really bring it on home for our Kickstarter remake of this film,
okay,
we need to get Kieran Culkin on board to direct because Fuller.
Oh God.
And
really?
and then we'll make a perk, like they get to talk to him on Skype or something. They can ask him Home Alone questions. I don't know, but we need Kieran Culkin as a director, Zach Jeremiah in the lead.
Mm-hmm. The steel helmet is also historically important for being the first war film to feature a racially integrated military unit. There's a black soldier. There's actually a Japanese American soldier, and the movie is also important because it references explicitly racial discrimination. It was the first movie to acknowledge the internment camps that the Japanese had to stay in.
Okay, that's a big feat for a film to do.
And this was 1951. Fuller was taking big chances. In fact, actually, after making this movie, the U.S. military pulled out support for all of Fuller's future film productions because they think Fuller basically fucked them over when he made.
And the FBI started a file on him too.
Yes. And fortunately, Fuller was just a badass, so he overcame all of those, and he made some good movies after this. But this movie is uncanny in that it's definitely a low budget movie. It's a B movie in the way its production came together, but it manages to convey such important themes, and the dialogue is so profound for its time. This is essential viewing for anyone who wants to get an idea of really the dark side of humanity.
All right, I'm down with that.
Yeah, it's currently streaming on Filmstruck, and I'm sure you could probably find it on Amazon as well.
Okay.
It pops up from time to time on TCM as well. I actually rewatched it a couple weeks ago there. So something to keep an eye out for.
TCM, yeah, I really appreciate that they still exist, and it's got to be difficult as hell for them to continue to exist. But it's nice to know that they're there.
Turner Classic Movies remains, in my opinion, the only regular cable channel that still provides just excellent quality film programming because they don't edit their movies; they show them commercial free. The only commercials you get with TCM happen when the movie is over and in between film.
Yeah.
And
what's cool about that is though they'll show like featurettes, and they'll show. I remember actually the first time I had ever heard of Pan and Scan was a TCM bumper.
Yeah.
That was like, we don't do this to our movies, and I was like, all of a sudden a light clicked onto my head, and I was like, all those fucking DVDs are cutting out pieces of the screen.
Yeah, TCM really does. It really does give you a lot of that, and they always have a great introduction to the movie where a person will come out and give you the context. Especially that's especially important when showing movies from the past that have some material that has not aged particularly well, because a person going into it, for instance, a while ago when I saw Breakfast at Tiffany's on TCM, and they explain it right up. They set you up at the very beginning in the intro. They say,
Mickey Rooney is doing racist things in this movie. We do not approve of it.
Right, exactly. They set you up for that, though, and it's a good context. Anytime you show a movie from the past that features potentially objectionable material, you have to put it in a certain context. That's the reason I maintain why Disney has never re-released Song of the South in any form, is because they would be forced to put it in a certain context that would make Disney look not the best.
They put out De Fuhrer's face, though, on DVD.
Yeah.
Now, I guess...
But at least that's anti-Nazi, so, I mean...
Yeah, De Fuhrer's face has that ending where he wakes up from a bad dream, and there's a hilarious shot where there's a Statue of Liberty in his room that looks like a Heil shadow.
Yeah.
That's a thing that happens. But since we're on this subject of TCM, I just want to spotlight TCM Underground, which airs at like 2 a.m. on the East Coast on Saturday nights, and they just show they like a lot of blaxploitation stuff. They like a lot of punk or music based stuff, but like the general theme of it is cult movies, and I can't think of another programming block that exists that is dedicated to like late night Saturday night weirdo movies, which used to be a thing, in the 90s. You had Night Flight and you had Monster Vision, and like shit like that doesn't exist anymore. And I love so much that TCM keeps that alive.
I agree. I think that it's...
I'm super nostalgic for like programming blocks of that ilk. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They don't do host segments, which would be very great. I think when they first did TCM Underground years ago, that it had host segments. I think Rob Zombie was involved at one point, but it is nice to know that like, late night on a Saturday, you can pop on Turner Classic Movies and there will be something weird and entertaining on. And that programming blocks like that, I wish they would come back. And honestly, one of the things I really liked about the new Mystery Science Theater is how they kind of structured it to where there should be commercial breaks in it, but there aren't. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was kind of that was kind of reminiscent of that for me. And I like that I just feel like that those kind of things need to come back. Like they were so great, Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but I'm really passionate about like, programming blocks on television, specifically late at night.
I agree. If done right, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we've covered that, I'm going to quickly touch on a documentary that I watched today, Becoming Bond, which is a Hulu original documentary.
I did not know that about it.
I will have to watch this for sure.
Now, Becoming Bond is interesting in that it's kind of a docudrama because the film features a lengthy interview with George Lazenby as he's relating tales from his childhood all the way to just after he left the James Bond role.
So I want to put a brief aside on George Lazenby. Is that he was originally set to star in The Life of Brian.
Yes, as Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the sole purpose of this was just to have the tagline, George Lazenby is Jesus Christ.
Oh, what? Okay.
That was pretty much Monty Python's only rationale for casting him.
They eventually decided against that specifically because they knew that the movie was going to be controversial enough as it is. And so what they actually ended up doing was they chose a reputable actor to portray Jesus completely seriously and straight-faced without any jokes, so that their own jokes could play against it.
I recently rewatched this film after a really long time. Who was that actor?
Oh, gee, I forget his name, but
it's not really important because the thing is, you mentioned that, and I'm thinking like Jesus was really pushed into the background of that film. The only time you really see him is when Brian is the foreground character, reflecting on being there.
Jesus is played by Kenneth Colley.
Kenneth Colley, that's right.
Who was Admiral Piet in the Star Wars films, the original ones.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. And he's actually in quite a lot of other roles. Always a good supporting actor, dependable.
I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah. Well, you remember Admiral Piet? Apology accepted, Admiral.
In which film? Is he in one film, or is he just in like a bunch of them?
Star Wars 5 and 6, or 4 and 5.
Oh, I thought you said Star Trek. I'm sorry.
No.
Yes.
I don't know who that is. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, Admiral Piet.
Mm-hmm. He was also in Terry Gilliam's Jabberwocky.
I haven't seen that.
He was in the John Lennon comedy How I Won the War from 1967.
I've heard that they mentioned that in the documentary Imagine, but I have not seen that.
It's pretty funny. Richard Lester comedies have a very British sense of humor. You have to be in the mood for that to watch it, but it works.
Okay. I thought it was like a serious film.
It's I would call it a comedy drama because it does deal with some dark elements, but it's a very silly in a silly way. Mm-hmm. Now, Becoming Bond is also a very silly film because George Lazenby is telling his life story the way he would want it to be told. And the film is the actual what happens is while he tells his story, rather than the traditional documentary style of showing like photographs and stock footage, they actually reenact the scenes from his life as he's describing them in the way he's describing them.
So it's like the act of killing.
Kind of, except when I say reenacting, I mean it's like they shot an entire movie based on his description of these scenes. For instance, the James Bond producer Harry Saltzman is played by oh God, it just makes me laugh. He's played by now the name just it just flew away. Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's the big guy.
Marty Funkhauser?
No. What the fuck?
Richard Kind? Big guy. Jeff Garlin?
Jeff Garlin. Thank you. How did I?
The big guy. I said Funkhauser. Oh, people out there that watch Curb Your Enthusiasm will know why that's funny.
So anyway,
Kevin Nash, the big guy.
Oh, big sexy.
Big sexy.
So what's funny about this movie? What makes it really entertaining is George Lazenby is a man who clearly thinks very highly of himself. He's an egocentric man, and he's kind of okay with that.
Can I cut you off for a second and ask, has he been knighted before?
No. First of all, he's Australian, so...
I didn't know that. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
Do you have to be of British descent to get knighted?
No, not necessarily, but it's much harder to be, because like George Bush Sr. has been knighted, for instance.
Sir George Bush.
George
H.W. Bush.
Why?
Herbert Walker Bush.
He just was. I mean, that's
George Herbert Walker Bush was knighted. It's a travesty. Where Queen? Where's my thing where I kneel down? And I can't keep that up for very long. I always end up breaking.
When I kneel down and you tap my shoulder with a big sword.
Wow.
They have a big sword on me.
So the movie, what Becoming Bond kind of begins as is sort of a sex comedy, because it's George Lazenby talking very honestly about his sexual awakening as a teenager and 20-something, and he does not pull punches in his story, and
he didn't hit anybody like Sean Connery, right?
Well, he hit a lot of people, but maybe not hit.
Did he hit women?
It depends on your definition.
Did he physically strike women like Sean Connery has admitted multiple times to doing?
Wait, what?
Sean Connery
did not actually say that. He said in Playboy magazine, he said he's not opposed to doing it.
Listen, if I have to hit a woman in the mouth,
she deserves it, that's what he says. Now it's completely irresponsible. It's completely irresponsible and not at all a correct thing to say. But
my good friend Donald Trump told me that it's perfectly okay to grab a woman by the pussy. I told him it was okay. It's fine. If you need to strike a lady, strike a lady. That's all we're saying. It's okay. Yes, I agree. That's all we're saying.
Are you done?
Are you finished or are you done?
Fucking hilarious. Cast like that.
He's playing the curb music. Oh boy.
Turn that shit off.
When I was in Octopussy. Oh wait, I wasn't in Octopussy. That was a different actor. When I went to the movie theater to see Octopussy, I take that back. When I was in 1992, I took my good friend Donald Trump. We went to go see the film Candyman, and he got very scared by it.
I saw Candyman.
Very scared. We held each other.
Very scary.
I was so scared I went home and punched my wife.
Years later, my good friend Michael Bay, he got me that role in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was one of my favorite movies that I've ever done. And I
Wait, Michael Bay produced that movie?
No, who directed that movie?
That was oh fuck, I know this.
It's that brother team, right?
No, I thought that had a single director.
It did. It was oh, don't tell me.
The guy who did Book of Eli?
No,
those were brothers. Those were brothers. Those were the From Hell Jack the Ripper guys.
Yeah. Is the director of Blade Stephen Norrington.
Norrington.
Really? Wow. Okay.
I don't know what else he's done. Let me see.
I made a mistake. I assumed that somebody that works for Michael Bay directed League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
See, I thought you were about to do a Michael Bay impersonation.
I don't know how Michael Bay talks.
Yeah, how does he sound? Yeah, explosions, devil horns. Ah!
I had The Rock in.
Brief aside. Transformers: The Last Night is the worst reviewed Transformers film so far.
Are we surprised?
No, I mean, a little bit. Like, it's worse than Age of Extinction, granted by 1 percentage point on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's worse than Fallen.
We've already sidelined
for.
I'm sorry. I was going to say.
Oh, go ahead.
We've already kind of sidelined the conversation, and I have a weird for Bill Arsenault, which was like you were kind of, you had a little mini flirtation with Transformers 4, right? Like there was a period where you were like obsessed with that movie, right?
I actually kind of, I don't know if it was like that syndrome where you start identifying with your captor. Yeah, right. I don't know if it was like Stockholm syndrome or what, but I just put it on one day and I was like, movies some more. I think there's something to it, And
there's not though.
Came to that conclusion. There really isn't anything to it. There are some good visual shots here and there, but it's just crap. But I mean, it was a fun watch on Hulu a couple times. kind of enjoyed, putting it on in the background and going, oh yeah, that's the movie theater scene. And I even did a little Facebook video about the movie theater scene where they're in the old movie theater. So I thought that was kind of cool. But the rest of it's not, But you guys want to hear a spoiler for The Last Night?
All right, so this is an exclusive spoiler. If you're going to see Transformers 5, cut out because he's going to spoil it.
I'm reviewing it, but I don't care. Tell me what it is.
It's not it's not too
I'm seriously questioning why you feel the need to put a caveat on that, because if you are going to see Transformers, you deserve to have something spoiled.
I think if anybody at this point is going to see Transformers 5, like, sincerely, not ironically or whatever, like, they wouldn't be listening to this far in this video.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, mostly because they, are just, completely brain dead. I mean, that's just...
They would have got to the part where it's like, nobody insults my Transformers, and then click out.
Well,
I remember distinctly Beast Wars.
I remember distinctly that back when Revenge of the Fallen came out in 2009, a friend of mine had a blogspot post, and I'm going to call him on this week. He was saying it's like, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is not only the best movie I've seen this year, but it's one of the greatest movies ever made. It has action and comedy and romance. And I was like, at that point, I was like, oh man, can I please find the unfriend button on Facebook?
They put the theme song in that one, right? Because everybody was in the first movie.
Yes,
I think so.
Well, anyway, the spoiler I have for the Last Night, and I haven't seen the movie yet, but I know the spoiler because I was told about it. It's revealed that the Last Night, who the Last Night is. If that's
tell me it's Shia LaBeouf.
No, tell me it is Stanley Tucci.
It's Mark Wahlberg. He's the
fucking
Last
God
Night.
damn it! Fuck.
So how's that a spoiler? Because that's like the most.
That's
obvious.
terrible. That sounds like the worst thing ever.
That's like the most obvious decision since he's the star of the movie.
But you want to hear? Well, I thought it was going to be Optimus Prime or something, or Bumblebee or some shit. But you want to hear an aside?
Yeah,
sure.
There is a Merlin.
That's Stanley Tucci.
No, it's not Stanley Tucci, but there is a Merlin that exists in this world.
Are you sure it's not Stanley Tucci?
I'm sure it's not Stanley
Tucci. I will bet you actual money that it's Stanley Tucci. I won't really do that, but I will bet you figurative money.
No, there is an ancestor to Merlin.
When you say there is a Merlin, you're saying as in the fictional sorcerer. Because magic is not a real thing.
This movie, magic is a real thing. That's what I read. And basically,
that's fine. I mean, it's Transformers.
The movie opens with King Arthur battling some forces, and he asks Merlin to help, and Merlin's like, okay, I'll contact the Transformer universe. And
so Wikipedia tells me Stanley Tucci is in fact Merlin.
Really?
Oh, spoilers.
I don't give a fuck. I will. If I knew if I could describe this movie in gruesome detail to someone who hasn't seen it, even if I knew that they were wanting to be unspoiled, I would, because if you want to see this movie unspoiled, you're like, if you genuinely still have a love for the Transformers movies after being fucked in the ass 4 times in a row,
I'm reviewing it.
You are a horrible human being and deserve to have it spoiled.
I don't. Do you think this is
Michael Bay?
You're just terrible.
Do you think that
Michael Bay?
Do you think that I have willingly?
Me and my friend Big Sean.
Do you think that I've willingly chosen to review Transformers Last Night this weekend?
Well, you are Hawk Ripjaw, so actually, yes, I would believe that you did.
I kind of was voluntold by Felix. We're still working out whose idea was what. I'm pretty sure she decided that we would co-review the Transformers films, and I decided that we would co-reveal the 50 Shades movies. Joke's on me, because there's going to be 14 more Transformers films and only one more 50 Shades. But live and learn, I guess.
Them's the breaks.
Them's the breaks.
I think that's a good place to end the podcast, honestly.
I think so too. I know Hockey wanted to talk about Blood Driving Cardinal. We can save that for next week.
Okay.
And thank you all for joining us on this week's Pubcast. And Bill, why don't you lead us out with a little bit more of your Trump?
Well, he's signed out.
Really?
He's gone.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I can try. Yeah, he did. I can try it a little bit.
All right.
Movie Boozer. You are. You are.
I've